Hey, I'm back. Back for part 2 of this dashboard restoration. You've been following the first part of this dashboard restoration involved putting plastic weld into all of the numerous cracks that this thing had, and then sanding, and then coming back with a type of Bondo material they call a padded dash filler from Polyvance, and filling in a lot of the imperfections that remain, and sanding some more. That's where we left it on the last one, and I have to say, to be quite honest, I was really getting frustrated and fed up. I've never done body work before. I can't even imagine doing body work and Bondo on the side panels and sanding. So I have to say I got a little bit frustrated. Then the weather turned cold, and now it's just every couple of weekends I get some nice weather to get out here in the garage and look at it again. I had another very experienced set of eyes who is well versed in auto restoration come by and take a look and go, yeah, it's a good start, but you're not there. And while I definitely didn't want to hear that, I kind of knew that that was the right assessment. So, what they meant by that is a lot of these areas I haven't taken the Bondo down far enough. The comment was, if you were to texture over the prime and texture over this, you would not be happy. A lot of these really rough straight edges that you see would show up after doing that, and he just said there's a lot more work to do. So with that in mind, over the cold months, I thought about what are the other options to get this thing done. And number one, and I mentioned it in part 1, was Just Dashes out in California. That's a $1,500 plus expedition, which is probably the best way to go about it. I didn't want to put that kind of money into this. I did hit a couple local shops here in town that wrap cars, so the vinyl wrap that you see, and they took a look at this and said, they could probably do it, but there's so many cutouts, so many angles, so many details to this dash that they just didn't even feel comfortable trying. So I did look at wrapping's out. The next thing I thought about was the peelable spray texturing that people use to temporarily or semi-permanently paint wheels, for example. I did actually go out, and that was the recommendation of the guys at one of the wrap shops, to go try some of that. And if you don't like it, you can peel it off. That didn't seem like a great idea to me either. So that brings us back to good old hard work, elbow grease, putting in some sweat equity.
Fucking A.
That brings us to this part 2 episode. There is still some work to be had in some of these details, especially where the vents are. Both in sanding and filling in more. There's still more filler that should go in here and in here. And then just overall sanding. And sanding so that we're blending out these rough edges. And that's just something that, I've never done this before. We're going to hopefully, or I'm hopefully going to have some help to show me how to do that. And after I get the next set of Bondo put on and we kind of take it down to the next level of sand, the process that I was told is to go get some plain black enamel paint from the auto body store, which I did, and then we're going to paint over this whole dash, and then start sanding, and that's going to show you where the ups and downs and the high and low spots are. So I don't know how to do that. I mean, it sounds like you put some paint on it and go, but I'm sure there's a finesse, there's a technique, how much you lay down. I would imagine as you're sanding that paint off to get a totally smooth surface, you're going to start binding up your abrasive media, whether it's a sandpaper or whether it's one of these fiber pads So I don't know, that's kind of where we're going on this video. And then when it's kind of at a position where the experienced set of eyes gives it the thumbs up, then we'll be in a position to prime it and put some sort of texture on it, paint it, and get this thing back in the car. So that's where we are right now. Part 2 is a lot more sanding and a lot more Bondo work. So let's get going.
Once you work it down, you'll see what's left.
So we're putting on a guide coat.
Right.
And this is just lacquer paint.
Just black lacquer. And we don't put a lot on. All we need is enough so that when we sand it, it will show the low spots and the high spots. Okay. Just a light coat on all the spots you've used Bondo.
A few moments later.
Okay, so now this lacquer is dried. And this is going to show us where the high spots and the low spots are.
When you're sanding, you're looking for the high spots and the low spots. And once the Bondo is feathered out, you know that's good and flat. But if it's dark here and dark here, you can see that's a pinhole in the Bondo. Okay? So
And that needs to be filled.
that one's probably not significant enough to worry about since you're spraying on the
Texture and primer. And
see it? And
Yeah.
see, if you keep sanding, it just kind of spreads it out and it starts to go away. Now let's see what we have on this spot right here. Okay, and it's real obvious that you have low, low, low. Okay, so if we were doing a car, we would come back with some very slick finish and put more Bondo in here, a finishing Bondo. Okay, that's working out real nice. Okay,
So there's no way to get around this but elbow grease.
right, we can sand, we can fill that. Okay, you just keep going. You can see the low spot right there. See, that's where the lacquer paint is stayed on. But if we knock some more of the Bondo off, that might smooth itself out. We just got to keep not pressing too hard, but just keep working. We want to work the high Bondo down so it leaves the lowest spot. When Bondo gets feathered like that, that is the perfect match. Okay, you can see that we still got low spots there, and we have a low spot right there in the middle. And I'm going to keep sanding until I know. All right, see how feathered that is there? That looks really good. But we still have a low spot right there, and that's going to show. So let's work our way up and see. This one's still low. See how smooth that is right there? That looks good, but we've got a low spot right there. Now that, on a dash like this, I'm not sure. But what we need to do is put Bondo there, there, there. Maybe a little bit more there. Now let's work on this one down here. Let's see what we got.
All right, got the sand down after the paint to look for high and low spots. And now we're just going to do a simple clean. We're using isopropyl alcohol just to get it ready for a final or another scratch coat of Bondo on it, or the padded dash filler.
See the way that's coming out already?
So we just put down this last coat of the padded dash filler, and I think what I was doing wrong was waiting for it to get really hard.
That's what she said.
And apparently you kind of don't want to do that. You want it slightly tacky to the touch, and so that it comes off easier, I guess.
Yeah, because you're going to take 90% of it off anyway. And I usually sand it once with a heavy grip to knock the tops off of it. Taking most of it off.
So now we're down to 320. Light pressure.
No, we're down to 180.
Oh, 180.
180.
And you can see in here how this is all feathered out. Yeah, and that feels super smooth to the touch.
That's what it's supposed to look like right there.
All right, then I'm going to come in and follow and do this at 320.
Yep.
All right.
One eternity later.
All right, so this is going to be good enough. Did a quick clean with some isopropyl just to get it ready, and even though it's a little windy out, we're gonna hit it with some paint. See what happens. So we hit it one time with the Super Prep plastic cleaner just to get one final clean, and then this was Protex texture coating.
And we're going to try a test shot. Why don't we start right there?
Okay.
Huh. Why don't we just keep going?
Yep. You know, that won't be too bad. I was anticipating a knockdown look, which I didn't want.
No, this is going to be great. This gives us what we want.
It hides all of the imperfections of the Bondo. Exactly what we're looking for. Yeah, look at that. That's not bad at all. Look at that. Frick. Look at that. Hell yeah.
Yes! Hell yeah!
Now, so that we make sure that it looks the same all
Right.
uniformly, we'll paint the front.
Yeah, and then we'll have to get that cover, or the glove box cover.
Yeah.
Spray it down. Hell, that's pretty damn nice.
That's almost nice enough to not paint. It adds just enough texture to it to...
And it's going to be uniform all over, especially for the stuff that we didn't hit down here, the original vinyl look. Now it'll be uniform all over. Hell yeah.
Eventually.
Alright, so we've got this texture on, and while at first glance it looks pretty good, we thought about leaving it as is. You rub towel across it, you can see that it's in no shape to be basically used as is. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and use a primer that's, you know, suitable for dashes. It's flexible, and I'm going to prime this up and then go ahead and paint it with an upholstery or paint that's flexible and suitable for dashes. So we're getting closer, it is looking pretty good. It's not perfect, but it is a heck of a lot better than what it was before. So I'm going to go ahead and get some primer shaken up and get this thing sprayed. So what I chose after doing some research on YouTube is primer flexible surface primer from SEM. This appeared to be what people like the most, so we'll go ahead and give it a go.
The next day.
Alright, new day. Let the primer sit overnight, and now I'm going to go ahead and hit this with SEM Color Coat Flexible Coating. Hopefully this will be the last, and it will be what it will be. So I'm tired of screwing around with this dash. It's going to be good enough.
Fucking A.
It's not show quality, but better, as I keep saying, as it was before.
Fucking A.
So without any more discussion, let's spray it. Well, I'm a little bit disappointed with this stuff. You can see it splatters. Not the best. See it right in here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to cover that, but that seems like bullshit. I tried to put on a really light first coat, and you can see some more splatter here. So, I mean, I'll tell you the truth, I'm getting pretty fed up with this damn dash. I need to get the car fixed and out of the garage. Another video coming on that, but not real happy with this. I'm going to let this dry for a minute or two and then hit it with a thicker coat. Alright, so that's going to conclude part 2 of the restoration, or attempted restoration, of this dashboard. I have to say that it does look a lot better, obviously, than it did to begin with. The cracks are obviously gone. It's the final surface finish, which is something that you have to live with, given the level of expertise that I had doing this project. It's definitely splotchy finish on the top. In the sunlight, if you really take a look, you can see where each one of those repair areas are. In the front, it looks pretty good because there wasn't a whole lot of repair that needed to happen up here. And again, I'm going to put the dash mat on. I've said it probably 100 times already, and I put the dash mat on and it looks just fine. So while I know back in here, the key apparently is to really get the padded dash filler or the Bondo across everything and really get that surface smooth, because where we didn't do that, in here, back in the back, it is painfully obvious that it wasn't fully repaired. It's just not uniform all the way across. Now, is that going to bother a lot of people? It might. Does it bother me? A little bit. Should I have gone to take it out to just dashes and spend the money, $1,500, $1,800? Probably. At this point, I'm kind of motivated to get this car done. It's been 3 years now, way too long. And again, with the dash mat on, it looks just fine. So I'll leave it up to you what y'all think. Would I attempt to do this again? No, I wouldn't. I just don't have the patience to do this type of body work and all the sanding that's required with Bondo. So, you know, the minor dents that are in this car, if and when I decide to get those fixed, I'm sure as heck not going to do it. I'm going to send it to a body shop and have it done. It was a great learning experience. Hopefully, if you were interested in this, I know there's a couple of folks in the comments were looking forward to this part 2, that you've learned enough now or seen enough now that you can make your own decision whether you want to attempt this or not. Again, to me, it's to smooth out these inconsistencies, especially back in the back. It really does take Bondo across everything, and I've seen that on a couple videos on YouTube with people doing it. For this repair, I'd say it's okay. I'm not totally happy with it, and I'm not totally disappointed with it, but I've got to move on. So next thing to do is to get this thing put back in the car. You can see the vents put on. I'm having some help come over today. Next video, I'll be sort of conglomerating everything as I make a push to get this thing started. So, you've seen me take things out. I don't need to go into intense detail putting things back. As they say, installation is the reverse of disassembly. So hopefully in the next couple videos, we're going to get to a point where let's put some new gas in the gas tank and get this thing started. As always, hey, I appreciate everybody that takes the time to take a look at these videos. Hopefully, you get something out of it. You can make your decisions whether you want to tackle one of these projects or not. I do appreciate all the views and the comments. Started to make some friendships across some of the folks that have commented, and I really appreciate that. The Scirocco community is small, but very passionate. So if you like this stuff, throw me a like. If you feel inclined, subscribe, that's great. But I'm making the final push to get this car started and on the road. So hopefully I'll see you in the next video.